All right, thank you for all being here today. I was walking along the beach one day when I saw a man in the distance throwing something continually back into the water. As I got closer, I realized he was throwing starfish in. I asked him what he was doing. He said that the starfish would die if they were left out of the water. And I said, well, that's ridiculous. There's too many starfish. How can you possibly make a difference? He said, well, it mattered to that one. That's what I want to talk about today, us mattering to someone else. In 2000, several people from globally met in New York City for the United Nations Convention. They came up with a declaration they decided that we needed to work together as a universe to create more equality throughout our universe. They came up with what was called the United Nations Millennium Development Declaration. This declaration had some focuses. Focused on human dignity, equality, equity, and they wanted to establish world peace. And we understand this because, as Whitney Houston sang, we believe the children are our future. You are the children, and you are our future. This declaration had some key points that it focused on. Freedom. They wanted us all to feel free. Free to get up, freedom from oppression, freedom from injustice, freedom from being scared of what might happen to us, freedom to pursue our goals and interests, freedom to have an education for everyone, equality for everyone, solidarity, tolerance, respect for nature, and a shared responsibility. Shared responsibility means that we all contribute for the benefit of the world. It was because of these that they came up with the 8 Millennium Development Goals. These goals focused on eradicating poverty and hunger, achieving universal primary education, which means that everyone, no matter what, is entitled to a primary education, which is what you're in right now, and that regardless of whether you are male or female, you would be able to get that education. The next one was to promote equality, gender equality, and empower women. The next one was to reduce child mortality, and that means we wanted to lessen the amount of children that die when they're born and as infants. Now, one thing that was neat that was done with this was incubators are very expensive, and in developing countries they can't afford them. So these people designed this, what's called the Embrace. This sells for $25. It's reusable, and in the back of what looks like a little infant sleeping bag, there's a pouch that you can put a wax ingredient that keeps a constant temperature. So for $25, they're able to reuse this and save many children. And this is a great investment. Well, along with this, we need to improve maternal health. And make sure that a woman getting pregnant wasn't a death sentence. I've had 5 children, and each time that I was pregnant, it was a joyous occasion. But for many women in developing countries, it can be a death sentence. The maternal mortality rate is very high. So we wanted to make sure that that decreased. Also, they wanted to combat HIV, AIDS, and malaria, being the most prevalent diseases globally. They also wanted to ensure environmental sustainability and to have a global partnership for development. Now, one thing that I've learned in all these goals was I found that I think education is at the heart and soul of the rest of them. It's through education that we can decrease infant mortality. It's through education that we can protect mothers that are having children, that it will not be a death sentence for them. It is through education that we can learn to take care of our environment and use our resources wisely. It is through education that we can use the land that we have and teach others to use that in developing countries so that they can enjoy sustainability for themselves. I've also learned that when you educate a woman, and which part of this was talking about education for everyone, and women have been left out of this globally in a lot of these developing countries. As you educate a woman, you're not just educating one person, you're typically educating a family. So it's all the more important that we continue to make sure that we educate women. Then in turn, we go educate people within villages to help themselves. We might help them get the resources that they need for medical facilities and the training that they need to run and operate those, as well as combating these diseases through immunizations and through medical procedures. They have to have our help and resources, and we that have need to share with those that don't have. We need to share most of all our knowledge with them. So Winston Churchill said, "A pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, but an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty." This is a difficult situation. There's a lot of things to tackle, but as we come together to approach these, we can see it as a challenge, and we can use creativity and ingenuity in facing some of these and coming up with resources and coming up with options like that little infant carrier I showed you. As we work as a team to do this, that is how it will happen, and that's why this whole meeting was so important for the United Nations, to get everyone involved there. We have a common vision and a common goal for the benefit of all mankind, for our tomorrow, for our children, for our future. Now, the United Nations has many people that make up their team, that have contributed, and these are just a few of them. So what is our moral obligation to this, to these causes? What resources do we have to offer? Well, for most of us, our two greatest resources are our time and our money. With our time and our money, as we become committed to these causes, we can find creative, ingenious ways to tackle some of these difficult challenges. And we can combat these societal epidemics, knowing that together we can make a difference. Thank you.